franchise companies today, Anthony. What do you think about that?
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. Hey everybody, welcome to the one and only No Vacancy Live. I'm Glenn Hausman. That's Anthony Melchiori. And I'm trying to keep my energy up because, I hear that I don't bring enough energy to the table here. What are you going to do?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you play the lotto at all, Mega Millions?
I meant to play this last one. I think I screwed that up because I would have been sitting on like $1.5 billion right now, Anthony.
So you're saying you're not the person that won it in Florida?
Not only that I'm not in Florida, but I am not the person who won. I'm just honestly, I'm happy it happened in Florida and not in like Hauppauge, which is the town next to mine.
Suzanne, you're right, because then you'll be Suzanne, take your tickets. I never play. Play, but like everybody I know is getting like hey, you want to join this one? You want to join that one? So I said, let me go buy my own tickets, and I did not win.
Yeah. Oh, well, that happens. It happens to the best of us. Dr. Producer Suzanne says she didn't win. Obviously, she's still working with us. So, all right, let's bring on our guest today. We got Ryan Rivett, President and CEO of My Place Hotels. Apparently another lottery loser because, Ryan, you joined us today. How are you, my friend?
I did not win the lottery last night, but I'm doing really good today. So we'll see how the rest of the day goes.
So the truth is, if I won the lottery, Glenn, I would still do this show. True or false?
False.
True. I do it for free anyway. Why wouldn't I do it?
Yeah, it's a really good point, Anthony. I don't know. I am so dedicated to education. I'm going to say I'm going to do it. But, if anyone has an extra $1.5 billion thrown my way, let us find out. But Ryan, we're talking, we might be talking about the lottery, but one of the things that you don't have to worry about getting lucky with is working with you guys over at My Place Hotels. I've been following you now for 6 or 7 years. Has it been already? And it still seems to me like, you're the new guys on the block, even though you're not, and other companies have come in. But I love that you're giving the big franchise companies a run for their money over there. What's it feel like being the outsider when you got those big ones, all of these events and stuff like that too?
It's good. I don't mind being the new guy on the block. Yeah. I don't mind being the young brand that moves and shakes and does things, responds a little bit more quickly to what's happening.
Yep.
And I think our franchisees have really come to appreciate that too. You can get a lot more done when you can always maintain momentum and don't get caught up in the weight that comes along with a bigger company. And as we grow, we'll have to figure that out. But so far, I feel like I won the lottery because we're doing really well.
And listen, it's been, I'm sorry, Anthony, but it's been 11 months since the conference we were at last year, and you announced another one for next year. You don't need to do it every single year, but I felt the momentum. I felt the joy that people were bringing, and I felt that it was a different kind of a company because everybody gets to interact with all the principles of the organization.
It really is one of the key elements of the success that we've had is being able to get as close as we possibly can to the people who are making it go, the franchisees, the lenders, the capital partners, everybody involved in it, contractors, management companies, and so on. I think we know more about what's going on in our hotels than most do because we're afforded that based on culture and the way we always have been, but also based on our size. And so it helps you sleep a whole lot better at night too.
Yeah, for sure. Anthony, sorry about that.
So one, for those people that aren't familiar with the brand, what is the brand? Why the brand now? And I have a follow-up, but I'll wait for you to answer that so everybody gets familiar.
So My Place Hotels is all new construction, purpose-built extended stay product. We started in 2014 with franchising. We've grown from first properties to now we've got about 120 franchises in the system. We're about 70 properties open today with a lot of development activity happening and a growing pipeline through a lot of multi-development deals that have come through the pipeline here in the last year and a half or two. But we also have a unique aspect of My Place, which is that we're generally a lot smaller in unit count than what our competitors are. It helps us get to market quicker, helps us balance risk among multiple markets, and it's a really comfortable investment for the franchisees who are diving in.
Well, I imagine when you start to build this and you pro forma it, I would imagine 50 and above hotels is kind of where you start to say, okay, we can really start growing, growing, growing. But if you're below 50, it's going to be a little difficult. So now that you're above 70 and there's a lot in the pipeline, is that a true statement?
Yeah, I think, we started to see real stability at around 50 hotels. And so that's pretty accurate. I like, the 100 franchise mark is really the critical mass point for us. And Glenn, I think a lot of what we felt during the convention last September, was that stability that comes along with having a big enough unit count and a big enough group of people that are involved, that you really do have great collective. And so, the other side of it is we're actually, next year will be a 50-year-old company in the hospitality industry. We've got a great infrastructure surrounding the franchise company that's been in play for all of those years.
Let me just throw out there, Ryan, the reason why he's saying 50 years is it's a family company, and they started the Super 8 brand and did a lot of other great stuff before launching this company. That you became president and CEO, what, 3 years or so now? Maybe 4?
Well, it started the company as my grandfather and I when we started, and we've grown a staff. And as that's changed, I
your titles changed.
Always held the position of president, CEO, janitor, along. But yeah, I formally took the position of CEO in 2017. So
it's been that long already. Wow.
So now, we all know what's going on with the franchises, the brands, the management companies, capital. And we all know the top 3 problems with relationships between ownership and brands. So when people, without throwing anybody under the bus, when people come to you, what's the number one concern that they have in their previous life with another brand, or maybe continued because they probably still in the hotel? Right. And what are they asking you not to do?
Perspectives and old habits and experiences really do die hard. And I guess our approach to franchising was not only having been a franchisor many years ago with Super 8, but also having been a franchisee for a period of about 20 years prior to starting my place. So our perspective approaching building a franchise system is really as a franchisee. Now, as franchisees come in, having experienced relationships or the lack thereof with other brands, they're definitely cautious. And I think the biggest thing for everyone is the level of transparency. Is how much can I engage a franchisee into our organization to let them know why we're doing what we're doing. I think that's the biggest part. Is they see decisions being made that impact their business that they don't understand why. And the biggest challenge for us as administrators of the brand is to make sure everybody understands the why behind it. And sometimes the franchisees' why can be totally different than ours. And there's plenty of challenges to overcome in that regard. But we've been able to maintain a consistent prototype, maintain consistent operating platform. We haven't made a lot of changes over the years, not because we're not looking for opportunities to do so, but because we really haven't needed to. There's a lot of integrity in the platform. And I think that allows incoming franchisees to build confidence really quickly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Glenn.
No, I knew you wanted to speak, so please keep going.
How is AI? How are you using AI in your model right now?
I can't say that there's a lot of direct contribution from AI in the model. I know we're working on some new technology solutions that may be feasible for us, but historically the hospitality industry has been slow with technology, and we see that the amount of integrations that are needed from the marketplace to the physical plant to the franchisor itself make that a real challenge.
But where would you see maybe it being placed in revenue management, in site selection? Like, where would you see it being used?
Definitely in revenue management and site selection. And those are the 2 primary areas where we can see an immediate opportunity in what we're working on. As you go into the physical plant and on guest interaction and the booking process and the check-in and check-out process, I think there may be some opportunities in the future, but the diversity of guests and scenarios inside of the hotel make that a little challenging to see an immediate implementation. Definitely, though, on revenue management, site selection, we're also implementing it within our national sales team. So, our business intelligence platform here that we've developed over the years has been really constantly on the move. And with new advancements in AI, we're working pretty diligently on figuring out how to incorporate those in a best management way.
I have one more question. I'm going to shut up, Glenn, and go to sleep.
No, it's all good. I love how chatty you are today. It's great.
If I see my place, what other brands am I going to see? Because you see some brands, and then you see certain other brands, and then you see a different brand, and you see those kind of brands that are competitors, and so on and so forth. So who are you competing against?
I think we draw from a fairly diverse mix based on our operating platform and where we price ourselves within the market, with all new properties with the size and scale and the design of the rooms being purpose built for extended stay. We definitely compete with the other extended stay brands. I'll say from ESA Premier to Home 2 Suites to Town Place and Candlewood, being the primaries in the extended stay side. But when you look at our matrix of demographics and lengths of stay, we very purposefully manage a balance of that. So we look at anywhere from 50 to 60% of the reservations within our system are staying less than 4 nights. The rest are balanced out among the weekly blue and gray collar working travelers that stay with us, who are really our bread and butter, to the relocations people and implementation specialists that are there for 30 plus days, being the smallest demographic. So
you see it all, people renting for a month just to have as an office close to their home because they're working from home?
I haven't seen any of that. No.
You haven't seen? Really? That's interesting.
No, and I think a lot of it has to do with, I think more of our locations today are in secondary and tertiary markets than in primaries. We're continuing to grow in the primary markets, but that's probably a difference. And at the same time, I think we're seeing that scenario kind of wane a little bit as people are going back into the office.
Yeah.
And the dynamics there in corporate America are changing.
For sure. I think we're starting to see that the work from home thing is starting to ebb a little bit. And a lot of people are indeed going back because, we do need that human interaction, I think. Yeah. So people are looking for to go back, but maybe stay home some days a week. But
the leases for these big office spaces, people got to pay for them. Yep. So if you have to pay for them and your people working from home, you're going to force them into the office. And as a person that works from home, when this week I'm out on a plane, I have a week or two where I can work from home before I start losing my brains. I need to be moving.
Yeah. You and me both. Ryan, I love that you started out with a lot of secondary and tertiary cities because you were hitting up developers and areas that a lot of those big brands weren't really paying attention to. So I think you were able to get in there and get established really quick. And then it seemed like within 6 months, the whole industry went, whoa, what's going on with these guys? And now you're at the point where you're really starting to attract multi-unit developers. And I think that's so important to get this accelerated growth going on. Companies like Rimrock, TGC, and OpWest and stuff. So how are those relationships coming around? And what is the financing situation around these people that are investing in multiple properties, and how are you getting those deals over the line?
Well, I think we went into building the franchise system knowing the value of multiple and territorial development agreements. It was really prevalent back in Super 8. And we were a multiple and territorial developer in the other brands that we were franchisees of before my place. And so you understand that, and you understand what the needs are and the circumstances that promote the quick growth. So we started, we've had several other development agreements prior to these last couple, but they're beginning to happen a lot more quickly in pace, and the volume of them relative to the rest of the chain is really growing. So as we enter into agreements with guys like Rimrock and TGC and OpWest, their approach to it is really a diversification of their portfolio of hospitality assets, whereas a lot of the people in the early days were just getting started in hospitality as a secondary objective and taking on multiple locations at once. I think in the capital market that we're in today and the economy that we've found ourselves in today, many of the guys that are coming into it are saying, I can capitalize a development deal with multiple assets a lot more. I won't say easily, but it's more accessible for a multiple development deal and a larger capital than it is on a one at a time basis. Having said that, though, we're seeing among the developers that are coming in and doing multiple deals today, we're seeing a pretty good diversity in that, where these couple are going to be individually capitalized, and then the next 3 or the first 2 are going to be capitalized together, and the next 5 are going into individual deals. So it really is very relative to the market and the time frame under which they're developing these, that dictates how they capitalize them. Say, lending markets have been chaotic, but not inaccessible, especially for the scale of the properties that we're doing here. And I think that's probably the biggest advantage we have today is if you look at trying to put together $100 million worth of capital to do a list of projects, you're talking about doing them in 12 to 15 locations with my place versus 4 or 5 with many of our competitors.
So how many do you have to, with some owners, do you have to help them with the finances or, kind of come in as a partner, or you stay out of that business?
Not directly as a partner or in a joint venture scenario, but we do really heavily engage in the front end conversations, presentation, and information due diligence with lenders and capital partners. A lot of that has to do with my place being a new brand. A lot of it has to do with the personal approach and being able to incorporate the head of the brand into your conversation about capitalizing your first deal is really important. We have a lot of buy-in in that capacity, so it works well.
I actually, speaking about that financing thing, I've got a call set up with some of you guys and financing companies, capital partners that does sale leaseback, to talk a little bit about some of those kind of options, particularly since you talk about multi-property deals. It's an interesting mechanism to utilize that land, get cash for it, and put into other properties. Then you can buy back that land at another date. So really interesting.
There's a lot of ways to build a mousetrap, and when you're working with a little bit smaller scale physical asset and a lower scale budget on these properties than a lot of the competitive options, you have more flexibility. You can put the stack together a little bit easier.
Right. Yeah. And of course, when Ryan says a stack, for those people who are unaware, that means all the different methods of financing that come together in order to be able to get that property built.
I thought they meant pancakes.
Dude, you don't even know how much I want some pancakes right now.
So kind of a throwaway question. How's the logo doing? People fall in love with it yet? People fall in love with it yet?
There's plenty of people who absolutely love the My Place logo. We got a lot of merchandise and a lot of stuff out there that people are showing proudly, but you can't be dishonest in saying that it's not immediately attractive to some people. What I will say is, just like you, Anthony, it sticks out in your mind. You keep on talking about it, and I can't deny that as being great marketing value.
Has anyone said I can't do the brand because I don't like the logo?
There's been some initial threats of that, but anybody who said that actually has gotten involved and come around to like it. So
yeah, it was like me. I was like, what? And then I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Listen, there's so much.
You can see the logo behind me. Yeah.
There's so much sameness in this marketplace that everything looks alike. I have no idea where I'm staying 99% of the time.
It's funny you should say that everything looks alike, because a lot of these select service hotels all kind of look alike. But Ryan and I were talking a bit beforehand, and I was saying how much I enjoyed the stonework on here. And Ryan, you were saying that some of the facades are actually different, and some of the owners are getting into bringing some of their creative spirit here, right?
Yeah. Well, when we designed My Place initially, fundamental in the concept was designing a prototype and requiring everybody to stick by that prototype. We wanted to be able to say that our costs and our cost model and our operating models had integrity all the way through the process and into the growth of the chain. And we've been able to say that. And so we started out with an exact prototype and a lot of properties that looked exactly the same. In the last few years, we've seen a lot more variation in that, particularly as we've entered into primary markets where you have some higher development standards and some bigger expectations from the municipality on how the exterior design comes into play. And it's been really cool to see that the box stays the same. Inside the box stays exactly the same. So you can rely on the metrics of capital costs and operating costs, but you spend a little bit different money on the exterior and changing it up. And I've got some really, really great new properties coming into play. Like I mentioned before, the one I'm most excited about so far is one that's going to open in Tucson here in the next month or so with Op West. So that one we were a little hesitant on because the city wanted some different designs and we were unfamiliar with it, but again, we were able to maintain the box and just change the skin a little bit, and it turned out fantastic.
And it's so important to be able to do that, because that curb appeal is so important. If you could make something look like it belongs in that area and doesn't feel like a cookie cutter type of a brand type of construction, then I think you're going to get people a little bit excited.
There's so many hotels today that
Yeah.
look like prisons. It drives me nuts. There's lack in character and in design, and I think that's important to people in terms of curb appeal and their initial approach and how comfortable they feel with it.
Well, I think, it's it's the bigger brands. It's it's a numbers game, and it's like a car dealership. You have to sell 80 cars a month to keep the lights on. They have to sell X amount of franchises to keep their jobs and keep the lights on. And I think it went into super hyper mode, and I thought really it was going to kind of relax after the pandemic, and real relationships were going to matter. But because of, in my opinion, all the lack of executives because they retired or went on to other things, my friends are doubling and tripling their caseload, and they just can't put the labor and the personality that you put on in your deals. And I think as you grow and you become this bigger brand, that goes away a lot. So you've got to figure out a way, and I'm sure you have, to make sure it doesn't go away, because it goes away. Because everybody starts out like you and wants those relationships and wants to be at the table for the stack and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden they're up to 300 hotels and like, I can't do it anymore. And that's the problem with all these brands.
Yeah. I think a little bit of the challenge that we aren't facing, and we're going to face challenges as we scale in terms of maintaining culture and approach to the business. That's unquestionable that we'll deal with those along the way. We already have. But a lot of the challenges that we don't face is that we don't fall under a larger corporate umbrella or a public company umbrella where we're forced to do some things to produce specific results for outside stakeholders, where everything comes back into us. So we have the ability to better control the growth and to better pass down the values that were instilled in me as I grew up in the business, and now have been able to do with my executive team and the people that fall below them. And it really just ends up being about people and our approach. But the other side of it is if you find out that the biggest component of your success in terms of franchise growth, at least, is the relationship that you're able to build, that becomes the most important thing for you to maintain. And I think if we continue to maintain a priority on that, we should be able to scale that pretty easily.
Now, Ryan, I met a bunch of your owners at the event last year, and they're not the types of people that you see at the lodging conference or Alice or NYU. It seems to me you have a big percentage of people that come out from outside that typical franchise group. What kind of split do you have right now? And for those folks coming into the hotel business for the first time, why are they interested in it? What gets them excited about it? And how do you get them over the line to understand that it's a good investment?
It's true that in starting something new, often the early adopters are the ones who aren't already predetermined in the business that you're in. So early on, we had a lot of people coming into it that weren't hospitality specifically guys. Maybe they had passive investments, maybe they were contractors that worked in hospitality, et cetera.
Right.
But now they've gotten into it. And so the dynamic has changed, though, as we look back. About 5 years ago is when we really started to see that dynamic shift. And so today, about 60% of our owners are multiple hospitality asset owners, or have made hospitality their primary career. And so the dynamic has definitely shifted. And so in 24, when we're together in Tucson, which I'm expecting you'll be there again with us.
Oh yeah, hope so.
That works out in your schedule. But
I haven't got an invitation, so I will not be coming.
It's next September or October or something like that. There's some time.
we got a little time, September 10th through the 13th. But actually, like I said, the dynamic has shifted now. And when you take people that have a more fundamental approach because they haven't been in hospitality, you mix them in with people who are, quite frankly, tainted by all of the things that we create for ourselves in the hospitality business, and you mix them together, it gives you a really great perspective. And I think that's the most dynamic element about our conventions is that there's so many different people. It's not like just an industry convention where 90% of the people there are hospitality people.
Totally. And one of the problems I have when we go to these conferences is there's a lot of group think because everyone is doing the same sort of thing. So my guess is, Ryan, is that some of these people that aren't traditional hotel developers, they probably feed that creativity and bring things to the table that maybe others wouldn't have thought of, right?
That's definitely true. And it creates some challenges for us on the consistency side of things in a prototypical way, because people come in with, I got this great idea and we should do this.
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. You want to make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's one of the hurdles that we cross with people who aren't in the hospitality business already. But it is a really good dynamic, and I don't see one side or the other of that demographic mix having any more challenges than the other in terms of getting a project off the ground or capitalized or getting it under management and being successful with it. It really is a relatively simple model, and our business is really relatively simple. The biggest challenge in our business is distribution, really.
Yeah, right. For sure. And that's a problem that will continue to fix itself as you continue to do these multi-property deals and move forward with all these meaningful developments. Anthony, did you fix your sound at all? It seemed like something was messed up. There we go. It looks like it's.
I was on mute. I was trying to.
No,
I don't want you to hear myself.
something going on with your sound. We're getting a lot of feedback, and yeah, there you go.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll talk like this.
No, it was really weird because there was like some sort of. Sorry for the listeners. On that one.
She said it's too low, but it's not low on my end. Maybe it's low on his end. So I hate to ask the question, and Glenn hates when I ask the question, but I got to ask the question. What's going on with labor?
I think it's beginning to get better, and I say that with a real hesitance, because every time I say that, it seems to change again.
And I should say, Ryan, before you continue, extended stay hotels typically have a lot fewer full-time employees than other traditional hotels. Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah, I think in general we are more stable than what the aggregate is in the hospitality industry. A, because like you just said, extended stay typically has fewer full-time equivalents. B, because we're a smaller box, so even more so we have fewer full-time equivalents. It's just less positions to staff and more ability to cross-train and flexibly manage the hotel. So, at the corporate level, we're really, things have been fairly easy for us at our size, and in the area we're in, we really have been able to attract a lot of really high quality people. At the property level, it remains to be a challenge. And I think one of the biggest challenges we have isn't in finding people to apply or come to work. It's finding the quality of people that we had been accustomed to having before, the work ethic, or the mindset of, I want to make this into a consistent, career path for myself.
Yeah, it seemed like Ryan. Yeah, so many people. Oh, sorry, Anthony, please continue. What was that?
I said it's mind-boggling that people have these opportunities, whether it be for like a limited service extended stay or 5-star hotel. I just came from some beautiful hotels in Vegas, and you're starting to see the quality of employee diminish, and they don't look like the employee as far as work ethic that you saw a year ago,
right?
And because there's nobody left, but now you can get a job at a 5-star hotel pretty easily. I remember when I was growing up in this industry, you'd have to know somebody and kill somebody to get one of those jobs.
Sure. Yeah. Very, very coveted jobs. And our position in the industry relative to labor is generally as a stepping stone. We're happy to be that. I would love to find people that want to ultimately work in a 5-star hotel, whether that's in a service position or in an administrative position, and bring them up through it. And we've got a great program for leadership development here, and it certainly has helped us in that, but it's getting more challenging as time goes by.
Yeah, for sure. Any final thoughts, Ryan? We missed anything that you want to get off your chest today?
Yeah, I think we've covered it really well. Yeah. There's so much going on in the industry, and so much focus being placed on extended stay right now that it's been fantastic for us to have a platform to speak on. I appreciate being on here.
So let me ask you a question about that then, because you're all in, as extended stay was starting to get hot, but since then, every single company, it seems, has introduced something to this platform. So what does that mean to you strategically? You had said that's good, because I kind of see it like the cluster effect in Vegas. You got all these different casinos, more people come, more people understand it, but there's got to be certain challenges as well, right?
Yeah, I think for us, there isn't really a challenge in differentiation.
No,
I think we maintain our strategy and our execution. because it's worked really well, and we've got a foothold in the markets. We've got a specific niche and a product that works really well. So we don't necessarily change anything. I think it gets challenging because as the attention to the segment that we're in grows, the number of people who make decisions for the wrong reasons also grows, and that often crowds markets and makes things a little more challenging. But again, we continue to be in a really good spot in terms of our size and scale and our implementation. And again, while we're extended stay, we're also not reliant on extended stay wholly. The model is built on gathering from.
You said what, 40% we're not.
Yeah. So no, I like it. We're riding the wave. We love being in the spotlight, and we'll continue to do so.
Hey, listen, as far as I'm concerned, when you're talking to people, they're going to have a lot more understanding about the investment opportunity, and it probably shaves a lot of that educational time off that you have to do. All right, Ryan, how about a good plug for My Place Hotels?
Well, give Terry and Eric a call at My Place Hotels. Yep. We'll get you set up and join you in partnership in growing your hotel portfolio.
Beautiful. I love it. Ryan Rivett, President and CEO of My Place Hotels. Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
See you next month at the lodging conference.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Excellent. Thanks. So that was fun having him back. It's been a while. So it's always good to check in with our friends at the different brands each year, for
Absolutely.
sure.
It's good to check in with you, Glenn.
It is so good to check in with you, Anthony. And guys, why don't you check in with us by downloading us on audio? Check us on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. Hey, why not download us on Google Podcasts? Stitcher's going out of business, so I downloaded Google Podcasts and listen to all my shows on there, including No Vacancy Live. And if you want to see what we look like, can't say I recommend that, but go to find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and NoVacancyNews.com. Any final words, Anthony?
No, sir. It's just a pleasure and an honor to be with you.
A pleasure and an honor to be with you. And remember, everybody, you got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
See you later. See you tomorrow.